All right, we're getting down to it here. Mark Rogers TV and recruiting. National Signing Day, less than 3 days away. We bring in Brian Towle of Corn Nation to set us straight on Nebraska's efforts under Mike Riley in his second off season. Brian, of course, it's always a pleasure. It's been a while. Need to get you on here more. Tough to track you down, but when I do, I fire the questions and you definitely give the info. So the first thing I want to know, Brian, is the top recruits. Who are the guys that Husker followers are really excited about right now that are firmly entrenched in their commits?
The first guy you got to talk about is Patrick O'Brien, the pro-style quarterback out of San Juan Capistrano High School in California. Four-star guy, was an Elite 11 finalist, 10th best pro-style QB in the class. He's already enrolled on campus in Lincoln. A lot of people have talked about with the way Tommy Armstrong performed last year, especially losses, hint Iowa, national TV, unhint. That Patrick's going to give a really big push to the job, especially in the spring season. I don't know necessarily that Patrick's going to start he can do enough to start the first game next year. But Patrick and Tommy are going to push each other. Worst case scenario, Patrick redshirts this year while Tommy's a senior, and Patrick could start as a true freshman in 2017. Another big guy there on is the two guys, John Raridon and Matt Farniok. One from West Des Moines, Iowa. The other one's from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Both four-star offensive linemen. Snatched him right from Iowa. Farniok made his call last Wednesday. Visited Nebraska 8 times, including 7 times on his own dime. Took a look at Iowa, took a look at Michigan State, ended it right there, and became a Husker. A really good win for Mike Riley's staff, and Mike Cavanaugh, the offensive line coach, really did the work there. John Raridon, they both Raridon and Farniok were in the Army All-American game. Raridon had a great game, dominating guys 60, 70 pounds ahead of him. The number 1 player in the state of Iowa from Valley High School. Those two really look to be cornerstones of that line. They can dominate one side of the line for the next 4 or 5 years in Lincoln. Another guy that everybody's high on is Markell Nisbet, is a safety out of Calabasas, California. You're going to hear Calabasas a lot in the next couple of years when it comes to Nebraska. Nebraska's been really working the Calabasas crew, which includes Darnay Holmes, Tristan Gebbia, and a name you might remind, Keyshawn Johnson Jr. Yes, the son of Give Me the Damn Ball. All 3 guys really kind of look at coming to Nebraska in the 2015 and 2016 class. Keyshawn's already visited 4 times on his own dime. Holmes has come with him. Gebbia's come a couple times. Keyshawn really likes what Mike Riley brings. Mike Riley has a big fan of Keyshawn Johnson Sr. Really kind of influences everybody. There was another kid they had, however, he moved from Calabasas to the IMG Academy in Florida, so that may kind of throw him off a little bit. Nebraska's also working on getting in on a 2018 kid, Brian Hightower, who's a really good wide receiver out of there. Probably one of the higher end wide receivers in that class. So Nebraska's done a lot of work, especially in California. It's paid off with O'Brien. It's paid off with the Calabasas crew. And it's really kind of going to start rolling in from there, we think.
Brian, for a class that's rated right now in the low 30s, high 20s, depending on your service, who are those guys on the fence that you would really love to see make that choice to Lincoln?
3 guys we're really kind of looking at right now. First off is Des Fitzpatrick, wide receiver. He did commit from Louisville a few weeks ago. Took an official visit to Louisville this weekend. Most people think he is in Husker. He's going to announce Monday, I believe, on his Twitter. Most people thinking Huskers. I am thinking as well. The big get right now would be Lamar Jackson, an athlete safety out of the LA area. He's going to announce on a Bleacher Report video on Tuesday. And most people also think Nebraska's going to score a coup there, win that one as well. The third one everybody's fighting about is safety wide receiver Isaiah Simmons out of Olathe North High School in Olathe, Kansas. His brother was a Jayhawk and a linebacker, really didn't interested in following his brother to Lawrence. Nebraska's led for the most part here. Clemson's kind of come in late. He took an OV to Clemson. If you had to put me against the wall with a knife, I'd probably say I don't know. So I think Nebraska may win out here due to proximity. Right down the street. Mom and dad can come watch games. Grandma's in Omaha. I think that helps. Plus, I believe he also wants to play wide receiver. If he wants to play safety, he's going to go to Clemson. It's just really nothing about that. Those are really the 3 guys Nebraska's waiting on. Of course, there's always a surprise or 2. We don't really have anything upline yet as far as surprises. But right now, those are the 3 names Nebraska's holding off on. Jackson and Fitzpatrick. Jackson, one that we think is in. Fitzpatrick, we definitely think is in. Simmons is kind of the iffy one right now. If we got all three, it'd probably make a top 20 class in at least, two of the three recruiting services, 247 rivals. Simmons, all three, possibly get Nebraska up to 19th, 18th, which is kind of amazing considering that Nebraska's used less official visits this year than they did any time in Bo Pelini's time, which I kind of found amazing that, I figured Nebraska could use something like the game day experience, the sellout crowds, the Sea Red for that. And they use less OVs this year, but they may get a class that was better than up to all but one of Bo Pelini's classes, which is kind of going to be kind of odd to me.
By the way, Brian, if you ever get in that situation with the knife at your throat against the wall, I don't know might be the best answer.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I get it. I don't know.
Okay, who are some of those guys that are under the radar that, based on what you've seen, the scouting reports, kind of the social media chatter, and also maybe what you've seen on video, kind of interests you as maybe some sleepers that could make an impact?
First guy that kind of stands out is J.D. Spielman, probably the player of the year in Minnesota from Eden Prairie High School. He's the adopted son of Rick Spielman, who happens to be the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings. Really impressive numbers all throughout the entire process that he's been in. Another guy, Darian Grimm, setting records in California, and kind of just, it wasn't fell by the wayside, but kind of interesting to, wonder why a lot of more schools didn't really look at him. One guy I'm kind of interested in, and this is not so much a recruit, but a transfer, Tanner Lee, coming from Tulane, will be heading to Nebraska as a transfer. Nothing really no real numbers that really kind of surprised you. But there's, the fact that Nebraska wanted 2 quarterbacks this cycle, only got one in O'Brien, the other one, Terry Wilson's going to Oregon. It's an interesting concept to me that, really we're going to kind of sit this guy out for a year, then he's trying to get a medical hardship to play 2 years. So could it be insurance for Patrick O'Brien? Could it be insurance for, something happened in the Tommy late, if he gets that hardship? If not, he's going to sit a year, and Nebraska's kind of still stuck with, the Riker Fives of the world and such, unless the staff wants to burn Patrick's red shirt, which I don't think they would, but I think they would have to. The one kid that's really kind of interesting to me is the lowest rated kid in the class. Name's DiCaprio Boodle. Comes out of Miami. Nebraska really found him on a satellite camp when they went on a week's tear. They went across the country, Houston, Dallas, Miami, LA, and they found Boodle in a satellite camp, and his speed was incredible and not many offers. Well, Nebraska offers him, he commits, and then all of a sudden, the offers came in, but the thing is, Boodle stayed consistent. Mark Richt came calling about 2 weeks ago for Boodle, and Boodle said, I'm good. I'm perfectly fine as I am. So that's going to be the nice thing about this class is you're seeing a lot less reaches. The only technical real reach is Boodle, which is fair to say, but you're not really worried about it because the staff saw him run, saw him cut, saw him catch passes. Personally, the whole staff, not just Keith Williams or Mike Riley, the whole staff went on these satellite camps and really kind of offered him then. And they didn't really offer a lot of kids on these camps. I mean, they, nobody really offered anything on the Dallas trip, LA trip, kind of reaffirmed a couple kids. It was kind of interesting how Nebraska went on this little tear, and their best get's going to be Boodle, and he could be one of their, sneaky little finds that you're going to see. One more guy I want to say that would be probably pretty good is going to be Trey Bryant, the lone running back out of St. Louis Christian Brothers College High School. Set a couple records in Missouri. Was one of the better players in Missouri. I believe won a state title with his high school. Really a hard runner. Nebraska's a little set at running back. Could use some depth though. Bryant's going to come in there, and they're looking for a guy that doesn't dance, makes one cut and go, finds the hole, and that's something they kind of missed a little with Terrell Newby. Newby became better, but at the same time, really kind of danced too much. Amani Cross, who they lose this year, really kind of just want to see how many people he could bumble into. Divino Zigbo really kind of came through, especially in the bowl game, everybody noticed. So we're looking for a guy that can find the hole and hit it. And Brian's going to be one of those guys you're going to be looking at to help out in the running back game almost immediately.
All right, very good. Brian Towle from Corn Nation getting us set for National Signing Day with a Nebraska class that could climb into the top 20. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for jumping on board.
My pleasure. We'll be here.